Hello, I am Gorgeous. I am a Season 3, 4, and 5 Jungle Main Challenger player, and this is going to be a quick guide on itemization for junglers, mainly focused on the Warrior versus Cinderhulk enchant, or in cases like Gragas and other AP tanky champions, Runic Echoes versus Cinderhulk. First of all, I want to start by defining effective health. Effective health is the amount of damage your champion can take before its health reaches 0. This is the formula for effective health. It is your total health divided by the damage multiplier. And to get your damage multiplier, you have to use this formula. This is how resistances work in League of Legends. Your damage multiplier for physical damage will be 100 divided by 100 plus your total armor. This means that if you have 0 armor, your damage multiplier is 1 and you take 100% of all physical damage done to you. And if you have 100 armor, the damage multiplier is 0.5 and you only take 50% of all physical damage done to you. This works the same way for magic damage, except you use magic resist instead of armor. Now let's see a couple of examples of how this affects effective health. In this example we have 1000 HP and 100 armor. First we find the damage multiplier with our armor formula, and once we have that we can find our effective health against physical damage. In this example we have 2000 effective health against physical damage. This means that a champion with 1000 HP and 100 armor can take 2000 physical damage before its health reaches 0. Now this is a different example where we have 2000 HP and 200 armor. Following the same procedure as the last example, we find that we have 6000 effective health against physical damage. As you can see from these examples, HP and armor have multiplicative synergy with each other. This means that the more HP you have, armor becomes more effective. And likewise, the more armor you have, HP becomes more effective. The same logic can be applied to magic resist. So ideally, you want to have a good balance between HP and resistances, where the resistances will be weighted by how the types of damage are distributed in the enemy team. So Gorgeous, what does this have to do with jungle itemization? Let me show you the point I'm trying to make with a scenario I came across last week. This is a game from last week's Challenger series. It is a game between Dream Team and Enemy Esports from February 24. Take a look at Rek'Sai's build right here. This is the build he has in the game, and he's currently level 17. He has the Warrior Enchant, Boots of Swiftness, Spirit Visage, Randuin's Omen, Deadman's Blade, and a Ruby Crystal. The only difference is he has the Stalker's Blade, which is the Warning one instead of the Red Smite. Since I couldn't find what runes and masteries he was using, I got the armor, magic resist, and HP values from a screenshot from one of the last moments in the game. So with this build, at level 17, Rek'Sai has a total effective health of 11,633 for a total cost of 11,625 gold. The way I calculated total effective health is the following. I made an average between the total effective health against physical damage and the total effective health against magic damage. We've already seen how to find effective health in this video, so this should be pretty straightforward. In this case, I used standard average because the enemy seems to have an evenly distributed amount of physical and magic damage. You can see from this screenshot that they have Poppy Top and Lucian for physical damage, and Gragas and Lux for magic damage. For different cases, you can use a weighted average that has a bigger coefficient for physical damage if they have more AD champions, or for magic damage if they have more AP champions. So this is the build Rek'Sai has in the game. Now let's take a look at a different build. In this build, we're gonna replace the Warrior Enchant with Cinderhulk and the Randuin's Omen with a Titanic Hydra. For almost the same amount of gold, with this build, you have more effective health and more damage. While you may lose 10% CDR and 10 AD from switching out the Warrior Enchant, you still end up doing more damage because of the Titanic Hydra passive and active. At these values, Titanic Hydra ends up doing plus 103 bonus damage on auto attacks to the main target and plus 161 damage to all other enemies in a cone. The active does 527 damage to all enemies in a cone on the next auto attack on a 20-second cooldown. That is insane damage, much more damage than you would do with a Warrior Enchant. So for nearly the same amount of gold, you are tankier and dealing more damage if you go with a Cinderhulk build instead of Warrior. Now let's say that you really prioritize CDR. Let's take a look at this other build where you build a Black Cleaver instead of a Titanic Hydra. It's still only 200 more gold than the original build and the same amount of gold as the Titanic Hydra build. You have nearly the same amount of effective health, but you end up with a Black Cleaver instead of a Warrior Enchant as a damage item. so you'll end up doing much more damage on top of enabling your team to also deal more physical damage due to the built-in armor reduction of the Black Cleaver. Keep in mind that these builds are still one item short of being complete, so at 6 items the difference between these builds will be even greater due to the synergistic properties between health and resistances that we discussed earlier in this video. Building Cinderhulk and 1 damage item such as Titanic Hydra or Black Cleaver instead of building Warrior into full tank will give you more effective health. This means you will be tankier, while at the same time dealing more damage for the same amount of gold. So in conclusion, if you know that you're gonna be building mostly tank items, then Cinderhulk is a much more gold efficient buy than Warrior. Cinderhulk's gold efficiency is too good and I recommend building it on any jungler that builds tanky. If you want damage, you can always build a damage item after Cinderhulk. The only sacrifice you make for this is that you get your damage item a little bit later during the game. But you can consider this a trade-off since Cinderhulk allows you to better initiate fights and be more durable during tower dives. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, questions, or any other kind of feedback about the video, feel free to leave a message below or send me a message on Reddit or Twitter.